What's going on, Knicks fans? We have some Donovan Mitchell, New York Knicks trade rumors to get to, so I'm curious. If you want Donovan Mitchell to be a New York Knick, go down and like this video right now. I'd do anything except trade RJ Barrett to get Donovan Mitchell in a New York Knicks uniform, so let me know where you stand. Like this video if you want Donovan Mitchell playing in MSG. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green, and we tease it at the top of the show. But in today's show, we're going to get into an NBC Sports article where they talked about Knicks executive World Wide Wes, William Wesley, and his plan and what he's trying to do, and that is get Donovan Mitchell to the New York Knicks. And we're going to explore why it makes sense for Donovan Mitchell to be in New York Knicks, some things that I think maybe a trade package could look like, and why I think him and RJ Barrett would be the ultimate package for the New York Knicks to build around. But here are 4 reasons why I think Donovan Mitchell, and people have talked about this, not just me, these are kind of notable reasons as to why a Donovan Mitchell trade to the Knicks kind of makes sense. He's a CAA client. Why does that matter? Because that's where Leon Rose was a sports agent. Leon Rose is now the president of basketball operations for the New York Knicks. Him and Donovan Mitchell have a really good relationship and a good connection. And later in today's show, we've got some quotes by Donovan Mitchell about him talking about Leon Rose and how important he is to him. He's also from Elmsford, New York. He grew up in New York. He's talked about being a New York Knicks fan, and his dad works for the New York Mets. So maybe he wants to come back, live in New York, get back to his home area, and be around his family. And also Johnnie Bryant. He is a former assistant coach for the Utah Jazz. Now he's on the New York Knicks staff, and him and Donovan Mitchell are really, really tight. They've stayed in contact, and that is kind of the chip that World Wide Wes hired. He didn't even talk to Tom Thibodeau about hiring Johnnie Bryant, and that was a move to get Donovan Mitchell to the New York Knicks. So let me know, would you do whatever it takes to trade for Mitchell? And I mean whatever it takes, maybe multiple first-round picks. Maybe it's including RJ Barrett. I don't want to give up RJ Barrett, but if you held a gun to my head, I think I'd do it. So let me know, would you do whatever it takes to trade for Donovan Mitchell? Type Y for yes or go down and type N for no. In the NBC Sports article, they highlighted that Knicks executive World Wide Wes, William Wesley, his reported plan is to acquire Donovan Mitchell at all costs. Whatever it takes. Well, World Wide Wes wants to make Donovan Mitchell a New York Knicks. Steve Popper, he was featured in that article. He works for Newsday, and they quoted him, and I thought this was important. He said this: according to the same person who pointed to Wesley's criticism of Thibodeau, Wesley has been selling his plan, one that eventually will land Utah's Donovan Mitchell a New York native. And it's time for the New York Knicks to go all in and get a superstar, a megastar, into the mecca of basketball wearing blue and orange in Madison Square Garden. James Dolan, he hired World Wide Wes. He hired Leon Rose to get a superstar to New York City. And it hasn't happened yet. Julius Randle, a solid player. He was great in the 2020 NBA season. This year he took a step back. He's not the type of player that James Dolan hired Leon Rose to go after. He hired him to go after Donovan Mitchell, who has been one of the best basketball players in the NBA since he entered the league. And in the past 4 seasons, he has showed why he is so valuable. And these stats on screen only tell a part of the story. This guy has a bulldog mentality. When the lights are on the brightest, he plays his best basketball. He came into the league averaging over 20 points per game. Then he went to 23.8, to 24, to 26.5, to 25.5, and he rounded out his game. He is a complete basketball player. He can give you 30. He can give you 10 assists. He can shoot 40% from deep. But the thing I love about Donovan Mitchell is when his best is needed, he is a competitive greatness type of guy. When he needs his best, he shows up like he did in the playoffs in his NBA career, and especially in the past 2 seasons. Over the last 2 playoff runs, 17 games in total, he averaged 34 points per game, 5 assists, shooting 48% from the field, and a blistering 46% from the three-point line. Big-time players make big-time plays and big-time ball games, and that's what Donovan Mitchell is. He is a big-time baller, and if he were to be a New York Knick, he would put this franchise on his back and get us to the promised land. I truly believe the Knicks should do whatever it takes to go all in and make Donovan Mitchell the next face of the New York Knicks alongside RJ Barrett. Look, if they make a trade, we're going to be breaking it down on this channel because we are a New York Knicks news and rumors channel. This is your first time of watching the video on the channel. I appreciate you, but go down and hit that big red button. We're trying to catch 76ers Now, which is another channel here under the Chat Sports umbrella. We used to have more subs than them. Then they traded for the Beard and James Harden, and that channel caught on fire. So I need some help. If you love the Knicks and you want more Knicks content on your YouTube timeline, on your YouTube feed, go down right now and hit that big red button. Donovan Mitchell is the type of superstar that is already great, but hasn't reached the maximum capacity and his ceiling as a player. He's the type of player that you can hitch your wagon to for the next 10 NBA seasons. And I really think the Knicks should do whatever it takes to go all in on him. And they have the assets to do that. NBC Sports, in that article, they highlighted some of the assets that the Knicks had, and they said this. The Knicks' primary assets, they own all of their own first-round picks and an extra first-rounder from the Mavs in 2023. R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes, and Cam Reddish. They say they aren't exactly overwhelming, but Utah is very good and might win enough to appease Mitchell. A big question: what lengths will New York go to get him? It's not going to be easy to make Donovan Mitchell a New York Knick, so I'm curious. What do you think of this trade package? I was in the office talking to Chase Senior. You've seen him on the channel. I was talking to Harrison Graham. You've seen him on the channel. And we were like, what would it take for the Knicks to land Donovan Mitchell? And I would hate to part ways with Julius Randle. He had a great season this year, not so much. I wouldn't be hurt, but he did bring the Knicks back to some relevance. It would suck to see Quentin Grimes go. It would suck to see Cam Reddish go, and I would hate to see Emmanuel Quickley go. But if you want to get a big-time player like Donovan Mitchell wearing the blue and orange in the Mecca, it's going to take a package like this, including 3 first-round picks. And you may have already exited out of the video and said, 3 first-round picks? What are we doing? Go look at the last New York Knicks 3 first-round picks and first-round picks for the past 20 years. They haven't been all that good, and they haven't succeeded. So take the seat of Leon Rose. Would you make this trade? Donovan Mitchell and Jared Butler. Butler was pretty much a body to equal out trading 4 players and getting 2. This trade also worked in the NBA trade machine, so it works cap-wise. So get your votes in. Would you make this trade? Type A for accept or type D for decline. One thing you're going to want to accept is this nice, swaggy New York Knicks St. Patty's Day t-shirt. St. Patty's Day is just around the corner, and you always, for me especially, I wake up on St. Patty's Day, I'm ready to go out, I'm ready to throw back some beers, and I'm like, I don't really have a green shirt. I don't really have any shirts that have green on it, so I end up getting pinched even though my last name is Green. But this year, I'm going to be rocking some Knicks gear on St. Patty's Day, and you can get this shirt on sale at chatsports.com/NickGreen. I will have that in the comments and the description of this video, so go check it out and buy it, chatsports.com/NicksGreen. Donovan Mitchell. I know we're talking only about Donovan Mitchell on today's show, but the type of report that came out, I think, warrants it. NBC Sports is a credible site. They are someone that you can trust. And when they come out and say that the Knicks are going to do whatever it takes to trade for Donovan Mitchell, we're going to talk about it on this channel. What we do is we present the rumors, and I'd like to take the pulse of all New York Knicks fans. And let's be honest, Donovan Mitchell, you can tell that he loves playing in Madison Square Garden. And I thought these quotes he had back in March of 2020 when he played at Madison Square Garden, and it was just days after the Knicks hired Leon Rose, he said this: with Leon coming in, who I know personally, things are going to trend upward. I love Leon to death. He is a great dude, great person, and a really good businessman. I think they are going to go in the right direction. Then he talked about playing in Madison Square Garden. He said, as a kid, always coming in here, watching games. So for me, to be on the court is pretty special. It is always fun to be out here and playing in front of my hometown. At the end of the day, I'm playing in front of my family. Who doesn't like to be appreciated by their family? When you are a professional superstar and you can live in your home city and play in front of your friends, in front of your family, you're not traveling all over and having to have them come to your road games. That's where you want to be. Donovan Mitchell would be comfortable in New York City. The lights aren't too bright for him, and we have seen that. My only thing is, take everyone but RJ. I want to see RJ Barrett and Donovan Mitchell in a backcourt together, they would put up fireworks in Madison Square Garden. These are two players. Donovan Mitchell is more established. He's already probably a top 15 player in the NBA, but RJ Barrett is well on his way. This season, RJ is averaging almost 19 points per game, and since January 1st in the new year, RJ Barrett has been one of the most best players in the association. Right now on the season, he's averaging 19 points per game, almost 6 rebounds, just under 3 assists, shooting 42% from the field and 36% from deep. Donovan Mitchell is doing what Donovan Mitchell effing does. 26 points per night, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and his efficiency every year gets better and better. This year he's shooting 46% from 3 and from the field and 36% from beyond the arc. A couple weeks ago, Rick Bucher put out a piece on Donovan Mitchell talking about what might happen if the Utah Jazz get bounced in the first round of the NBA playoffs again. And he said this: if the Jazz appear to be feeling pressure to redeem themselves for last year's second-round playoff exit after posting the league's best record, NBA executives say it's in part because the future star guard the future of the star guard, Donovan Mitchell, in Utah depends on it. The insistent buzz around the league is that there are those in Mitchell's circle who believe he is too big of a star for Salt Lake City. Further, some say it's only a matter of time before he joins former CAA agent and current New York Knicks president Leon Rose. Rick Bucher talked to an Eastern Conference scout, and they said this: the Utah Jazz are a first-round exit from Donovan Mitchell being in New York. If that ever happens, I'd probably be the happiest person on the face of the earth. I want to see Donovan Mitchell wearing blue and orange. It could have happened, but shout out to Phil Jackson. He thought Frank Ntilikina was a better pick. I appreciate everyone that's watched this video today. If you made it this far, give it a like. It helps us out. And give me a follow on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. I'm tweeting about the Knicks all day, every day. And I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers, so I need your help, Knicks fans. Give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.